It's your boy Codehova with Fly Combinator. We're pimping Swift. We're going to continue on talking about functions. In this video, we're going to talk about functions with parameters. All right. So before, we just had a function where, let's say, function say my name. All right. We have no parameters. Parameters go inside these parentheses. But what we're going to do when I say my name is Codehova is the name. All right. So every time I say my name, every time I call this function, I call it by, giving it the function name and also giving it the open and closing parentheses. So if I run this, it's going to say Codehova is the name. So what are we going to do if we want to, my bad. Let me just stop. So as you can see, when I say my name, this will only work for me. But what if we're dealing with you? What if we're dealing with him, her? Like, what if we want this value of Codehova, this name right here, to be whatever we give it? All right. So that's what a parameter is. And we need to give that to the function. So what we're going to do is we have this plain no parameter having function, but let's upgrade it by giving it a parameter. So let's say, how do we do it? So we start off by giving it the keyword of func, say this person's name. All right. Open parentheses, and we're going to say name. And that name is going to be of a type string. Open curly brace, closing curly brace. And all we got to do is we're going to say print, and we're going to use string interpolation, and we're able to use this value inside here. So name is the name. So if we want to call this, all we got to do is type say this, and as you can see, we have this function already ready for use. And what we have to give it is this string value. So we could say Joel. All right. So if we run this, it's going to say Joel is the name. So let me just block that out, comment that out for now. And it's going to say Joel is a name, Joe Blow. So that's what we did. We gave this function some parameters, and that when you give it parameters, you could use those parameters within the open and closing curly braces within this block of code. All right. So a function can have as many parameters as you'd like. All right. But of course, you want your code to be understandable. You want your functions to be doing like one thing at a time. It just has to focus on one thing. If your function is doing a gang of shit, you want to break that down into multiple functions and have one parent function that does all those things in succession, right? So what we dealt with here is, it's going to say this person's name. And then we have the named parameter where it looks a little ugly. Say this person's name. So if we only have one parameter, right, and we want it to read really nice, what you want to do is you just add an underscore and a space. So this is going to complain saying that, there's too many extraneous argument label name. So it's telling us to replace it. So by replacing it, it's going to read a lot nicer. Say this person's name, and we're going to give it the string value of Joe Blow. So it works the same. So when you're dealing with a function call like this, where the function name, it pretty much tells you exactly what it's going to expect in the parameter. Let me just go back. So this parameter, you could give it whatever identifier you would like. So this could be like moniker. All right. So if you change this to moniker, you just got to know when you use this value in this block of code, you just have to refer to this value, this identifier name. So you just have to update that to moniker, and it works the same. All right. So let's work on an example where we're dealing with multiple parameters. So let's create a function, add these up. All right, that's the function name. Open parentheses, close parentheses. Let's give it some parameters. First number, and it's going to be of a type int. And second number, it's also going to be of type int. All right. So what I want to do here is print first number plus second number. All right, that's all it's going to do. So if we run this function of add these up, what's 5 plus 8? All right, let's run that. The answer is 13. So with this function, we gave it the name, add these up. We gave it 2 parameters. The first one is a first number of a type int. The second is another int. And we could use those 2 parameters within this block of code. And we're just going to do a simple addition calculation of adding the first number and the second number. That's it. So this is a function with parameters. You determine it. Whatever you need a function to do, you just declare it. You make it do what it do, and it's going to do what it do. Your boy, Codehova from Combinator. Let's get it.